PIN AM Dublin and W246CR Christiansburg.
It's The Drive. Sports Center at the top of the hour. Indiana Pacers guard Victor Oladipo has ruptured quad tendon in his right knee and will miss the remainder of the season, the team announced Thursday. Free agent outfielder A.J. Pollock and the Los Angeles Dodgers have agreed to a 4-year deal, league sources confirmed to ESPN. The Athletic, who was first to report the agreement, the total value of the deal is $55 million and has a player option for a fifth year at $10 million with a $5 million buyout, sources tell ESPN's Buster Olney. Virginia Tech placed 8 players on the 2018 Virginia Sports Information Directors University Division All-State team, voted on by the state sports information directors and released Thursday, headlining the selections for the Hokies. Among the first team is Ricky Walker, Kyle Chung, Christian Darrisaw, and Oscar Bradburn, and on the second team is Ryan Willis, Stephen Peoples, Dalton Keene, and Rayshard Ashby. For your ESPN Sports Center, I'm Trey Lyle.
It's time now for The Drive.
Alrighty then.
On ESPN Blacksburg, 93.1, 97.1, and live on the web at espnblacksburg.com.
It's The Drive on your local radio station. We are ESPN Blacksburg, and a good Thursday afternoon to all of you. My name is Paul Van Wagner. Interesting turn of events today as Trey Lyle is in the other studio.
Yep.
Andrew made it a grand total of 1/2 of 1 week.
Congrats.
I'm proud of him. He's sick. I say in jest that he made it 1/2 of 1 week. He actually is out sick today.
Filling in.
We have a strict rule here at the radio station. We have
You're out.
That's it. It's one rule. That's it. If you are sick, do not come into the radio station. Like, that is the one rule. And
I should
Andrew,
never come in because I'm a sick dude. That was good.
Thank God.
Should we even let this guy talk with what he's wearing?
I don't know. I'm torn. I think he's just he's literally trolling us in front of us. That's the problem. JW is here. He is wearing.
He doesn't deserve his bumper music today.
And no, he's not getting it. He's not getting it today. He's wearing a UVA shirt. I'm assuming you lost a bet or something.
We had this discussion earlier.
Well, I know, but
So,
I don't listen to you when you talk.
I don't listen to you either.
All right, perfect. Somebody that does get his bumper music, though.
Can't keep my hands to myself. No matter how hard I'm trying to.
Scott Nason.
I won't
Scott.
hold to myself.
Scott Nason. Scott. Scott Nason. Scott Nason.
Absolutely, let's go.
Yes, indeed. Scott Nason joining us today. How are you, my friend?
Doing wonderful, Paul. Not as chilly today, but snowy, getting ready for the Super Bowl in less than 2 weeks. Excited to talk about it as well.
So, all right, let's start out. First thing, I want to get your opinion on some of the less than stellar performances by the Zebras at both of these games. There were penalties on both sides, none probably more egregious than the pass interference penalty that was not called against the Rams. What is your take on that, Scott?
Well, I'm not one normally to complain much about officials. I am an official. I do some baseball and softball officiating in the spring up here, the 3 weeks that we get spring up here, I might add. But, you had to watch those games, both games this weekend, and just scratch your head at some of the, and I hate to be so blunt with it, incompetence that was called as far as, hits to the quarterback roughing, and, of course, the play that everybody's seen. And we've been talking about this on my show for a while, which we'll talk about at the end of this segment, but talking about accountability with the officials. And there is none. I mean, we have accountability in our line of work. I mean, if you or I have that egregious of an error, we may not have a job tomorrow. And I don't think that, especially those officials in the New Orleans game, should have a job tomorrow. What needs to be done is in the offseason, I hear there's talk about it, but they need to make a lot more plays reviewable. You know what? If it makes the game go 5-10 minutes longer, so be it. It's the NFL. They get more sponsors in. People get more revenue as far as concessions. But get it right to have a call like that literally be the reason that New Orleans isn't going to the Super Bowl, although I question the play calling in that whole series, especially towards the end. It's a travesty, and it should be looked at, and it shouldn't just be forgotten and swept under the rug.
On the other side, obviously, there was the roughing the passer penalty that was not. We know that the officials are going to err on the side of protecting the quarterbacks 100% of the time. But as a fan of Tom Brady, I can assure you that he was not interfered with or roughed on that play, but yet they still called it, and it is what it is. It ended up extending a drive for the Patriots, and I don't know that had a direct correlation in the Patriots winning the game, but it definitely didn't hurt their chances.
You're right, and it wasn't the correct call. It was a horrible call, but again, the league doesn't have any mechanisms in place to have those types of calls looked at or overturned, and that's where I think they need to really look at what they make reviewable and how many times a team can review it. Again, if it makes the game go a few minutes longer, I don't think that's a bad thing. People love the NFL. I think most fans, if they think that there's a reason that these games are going longer to make a better result, then they should do it. And right now, the NFL, it's going to be a very interesting offseason in the NFL to see if they, one, make these officials accountable, and two, give them the chance to use the technology that's out there to correct some of their mistakes.
Yeah. As far as the game itself is concerned, Sean McVay and Jared Goff will take on their fathers, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, in this contest. Quite a disparage in age between the two head coaches and the two starting quarterbacks in this contest.
And, it's too bad we've talked so much about the officials because, what games we had last weekend, both going to overtime and both really good stories going into the Super Bowl. Of course, you have New England. I know a lot of people aren't real thrilled with them being in, but you know what? You give Tom Brady the ball in overtime, you don't get it back if you win the coin flip if you're playing against New England. And they had a little bit of luck with that offside that really would have been a whole different result if that player wasn't lined up offside. But, that's a good story. I mean, Brady now in his 9th Super Bowl. No one's ever done that. Has a chance to win his 6th. Nobody's ever done that. Bill Belichick, all sorts of stories on New England. But, you look at this Rams team. Last time they were in the Super Bowl was when New England started their run back in 2001. Different city, whole different name as far as players. And a young coach that I believe just turned 33 this week. And he's got that team playing some good football. They're an exciting team to watch. They can run, they can pass. And I think this is going to be a great game because it seems like New England, they get to the Super Bowl and they don't always win them, but they're always close. I believe in the 8 games they've been in, they've all been decided by 8 points or less. So it really doesn't look like a blow. It looks like we could have another really good game on our hands.
Well, I just want to point out that Ric Flair has won 11 more world championships than Tom Brady.
You're well said.
Yes,
well
yes.
said.
So I want to ask you about the overtime rule in the NFL. We have had several discussions about that. My stance on it is you got professionals on the offense, you got professionals on the defense. You want the ball back, go take the ball back. If you can't take the ball back, hey, that's life, man. Where do you stand on the overtime rule?
Yeah, I mean, they did make improvements, I think, a few years ago when they had it be a touchdown rather than a field goal. I'm not a fan of going to the college system. I think that's fine in college. I don't really like it in college, but I think that's fine. I would not like to see the NFL do that. Some people will say, well, if they score a touchdown, give the other team a chance to score a touchdown. I'm kind of more where you're at, Paul. I think you're right. There's professionals out there, and you got to stop them. Stop them not from, gaining 35 yards and kicking a 58-yard field goal, but stop them from getting in the end zone. And so I think the rule is just fine. And again, you better win the coin flip if you're playing New England because you ain't getting that ball back.
You're a soccer guy. Would you advocate for them going to penalty kicks to decide a football game?
No, I don't think so. I'm not a fan of that in soccer. Unfortunately, That's the only way they can really end it at this point. But yeah, don't have the kickers. Don't have Zerline and Goskowski be the reasons that one team wins the Super Bowl over the other. So no, keep the penalty kick shootout out of the NFL, please.
Come on, you start at the 20. If you both make it, you go back to the 25. If you make it from there, you go to the 30, and so on until somebody runs out of leg. I think that I'm onto something here, Scott Nason.
Well, you better not do that in Chicago because you saw what happened when that guy missed one kick. Can you imagine missing a kick in that scenario? I think you might want to get into a new line of work. So you're trying to influence me, Paul, which I appreciate. But much like the government shutdown, I'm not budging on this one.
Yeah, Chad texts in. He says, "Go an extra 10 minutes and then decide it with field goals." I love it, Scott. This is the world's
Can't
game.
Get on board.
This is the world's game, and we're taking from them. You should be totally on board with that. You take a look at this Super Bowl. Where are your storylines? What are you keeping an eye on? What are you looking for? What are the things that intrigue you about this matchup? I know we're going to have another week to talk about it next week, but right now, as it currently stands, where are you at with this?
Well, right now, I think both teams' strengths, and they have many, it really starts with the offensive lines of both teams, both playing very well. Brady has not been sacked yet in the playoffs, which is a phenomenal feat. It doesn't get sacked much, but the Rams have a very good offensive line, so it's going to be which defensive line can maybe get some pressure and cause some problems for these quarterbacks. Also looking at the running backs, what a story Sony Michel for New England. I mean, this is a first-round draft pick at the bottom of the draft last year, and he's really stepped it up. He got injured during the season, but he stepped it up during the playoffs. I mean, he's doing what not a whole lot of running backs have ever done in the playoffs. In his last 2 playoff games, he's rushed for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, joining only 3 others. And they're all Hall of Famers: Terrell Davis, John Riggins, and Larry Zonka. You're in that group, you're doing something right. So I'm looking for him as far as if he can continue this against the Rams, and really looking for the Rams' rushing attack and what's going on with Todd Gurley. Is it an injury? Have we really figured that out? And they've had C.J. Anderson step up, but, Gurley not getting a whole lot of minutes on the field. Not too sure what to make out of that. So those are some of the things I'm looking at early. Of course, you have the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and everything else. But I'm really looking at the line, especially in the offense, and how the running game's established to see who wins this game.
So I'm looking at Tom Brady's Super Bowl career numbers. He's 235 for 357. The only guy that's close to him on completions and attempts is Peyton Manning. He's got 18 touchdowns. The only guy that's close to him is some cat by the name of Joe Montana. You may have heard of him, Scott. Passing yards, 2,567. Next closest, a guy that played for the Rams back when they were in St. Louis by the name of Kurt Warner. Game-winning drives, he's had 5. Eli's had 2. Terry Bradshaw has had 2. And MVP awards, 4. Joe Montana, the only one close to him, he has 3. You talk about the Super Bowl itself, and I know a lot of people like to be critical of Tom Brady, and they talk about things like an interception at the goal line and some Adam Vinatieri kicks and things of that nature. And they say, if it wasn't for all of those other players around him, Tom Brady wouldn't have the Super Bowls that he has. But when you look at the actual numbers, it's hard to argue that Tom Brady's not the best Super Bowl era quarterback, isn't it?
I think it is, Paul. I mean, he has the numbers, he has the championships to prove it, and this year, especially in that game against Kansas City, seems to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I think that's to his and their team's benefit right now. I mean, he's 41 years old, he's done everything he can. I mean, he's literally lived the American dream and then some, and what a fitting way would it be for him to go out and retire after a Super Bowl, his 6th. Nobody's ever done that. Starting against the team, or I should say playing against the team that you started this run against in 2001. It almost seems like the stars are aligned. And I love this number, and I don't remember how many teams he has more playoff victories than in the Super Bowl area, but I believe he has 29 playoff victories. The Lions have won in 60-plus years, so that puts that in perspective. I always have to find a way to put a little dig at the Lions there. But, yeah, Tom Brady, he gets the job done. Has he been perfect? No, but he's been pretty darn close to it.
There's no doubt about that. Give me, early on, I'm not going to hold you to this. We're actually going to make our picks next week for the Super Bowl. But early on, right now, today, where are you leaning, Scott?
Well, you know me, Paul, I'm a big believer in you have to get there to win before you win. And I think the Rams took a step last year getting to the playoffs. Of course, they lost in their opening game. They took another step this year. They got to the conference championship. They won, so they maybe overachieved a little bit. I have a hard time seeing New England and Bill Belichick getting 2 weeks to prepare. Hopefully that iPad that he slammed down a couple of times is fixed. He's got all that going. But, you know, you got the old veterans. You got a team that's playing at their best football of the year, and you got Tom Brady back there. I like New England right now. I think it's not going to be a blowout. It may be within 8-10 points, but, boy, I'm having a hard time picking against the Patriots right now.
So while you and I have been talking, Blake and I have been texting, and we've come up with the ultimate solution. We go to the 10-minute overtime. If we're still tied, you start kicking the field goals. Once you get to 60 yards,
It's 15 in the playoff.
It's 10.
No, it's
10-minute overtime. We're doing this. You just stop talking, Trey, and let me get through this. You do a 10-minute overtime. If we're still tied at the end of overtime, then you start kicking the field goals, and you work your way back. Once you get to 60 yards, now this is where technology will have to come in. The NFL begins to shrink the width between the goalposts until we have a winner. Scott, this is a golden idea that we have.
You take that idea, Scott, versus mine, which is you start the ball at the 50, and you do similar to college, where you still have to get a first down to get a field goal. So the defense has to get a stop.
But Scott already said he doesn't like the college game. He doesn't like the college one.
Compared to your crap,
my crap is excellent.
It's way better. But I think starting at the 50, and then each team gets to possess the ball.
Scott, where are you at with this?
You know, I'm going to counter with one of my own.
All right,
you guys have already got. How about maybe for the kicking one, you put the Arena League goalpost up
nets.
for that, get the nets out, shrink it. I like that. And how about instead of the 50-yard line starting the teams there, how about doing, let's go old school XFL, the scrum at the beginning of the game, you could have at the end. How exciting would that be?
There we go.
Now,
that's going to help the concussion issue in pro football.
Yeah, true.
Scott, we're on to some things here. I think that, you know, we need to, Trey, compose a letter for us, if you would, to Roger Goodell. Let him know that we have some ideas, and we would like a meeting with him in New York City. We have the solution.
I feel we're, one, not going to get that.
Yeah?
And two, I'm not going to put the work in because I know we're not going to get that.
Trey, come on. Aren't you supposed to do things that I assign to you? Isn't that part of your job description?
I didn't read that in my contract.
I'm going to go talk to the powers that be. That's all there is to it. Scott Nason,
Here,
where can our listeners get more great content from you, my man?
I was going to say hashtag he hate me on that one.
Yes!
You can find more opinion on the NFL and the world of sports on my sports show, The Game, and you can find it at thegamesportshow.com.
It's a good show. I'll tell you this: if you want to get some great insight, those guys are really good. And Scott joins in too. Scott, as always, my man, thank you so much for doing this. We truly do appreciate it. We still need to get you down here at some point.
We do, Paul, but we need to get you up here a week from Saturday. The biggest race in snowmobile, the I-500. 8 hours of watching snowmobiles go around a track 500 times with the temperatures -0. I know that's got to bring a boatload of people from Blacksburg up to Sault Ste. Marie to find that.
I lived there for 20 years, and I never went. So that tells you everything you need to know right there.
39 years here, Paul. I'm in the same boat.
There you go, my man. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Scott Nason. Yeah, seriously, if you want to see something interesting, Google International 500 Snowmobile Race. It literally is a 500-mile snow machine race.
And people go to it?
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, it's
Is that
crazy.
like the big thing up there?
Oh, it's ridiculous. They will. First of all, it's an all-day drinking thing, right? Like it starts at 9 o'clock
Like
in the
NASCAR.
morning. Longer, because it starts at like 9 o'clock in the morning when
With
they drop the
drinking,
green flag.
with the
Yeah,
drinking.
yeah. But then the race doesn't end
Here we
till
go.
like 6 p.m. or so. And
Oh, the
they
promo video.
have the big hill like next to the track, and what you can do. I lied. I've actually been to 2 of them as a volunteer helping out. But they have this hill next to the track, and throughout the course of the day, you can sit there and you can
Kids
watch
races.
people fall down because they're too inebriated to actually stand up. It's fantastic. This is
kids
where I
races,
came from,
too.
ladies. Yeah, they do. They have kids races. They actually have a day where you can go out before they actually get the snowmobiles on the track and they tear it up. You can ice skate around it's ice.
Really?
It's an ice track. Oh yeah, a mile
So
long.
is it
track.
a lot of fun? Or,
If you want to freeze to death for
I mean,
know,
like if
8
it's somebody
hours.
that's never seen it,
Oh yeah,
would
yeah.
you suggest it?
I would suggest going. It's February. Hang on, I can tell you exactly when it is.
I got it. I got
It's
it up right
February the 2nd this year.
here. Countdown to race week. It's 1 day away. So starting, the race is.
The race is not this coming Saturday.
Starts this race.
The
week
race
starts
week starts this Saturday, but the race is February 2nd. Trey, trust me, I got this. The race is February 2nd, and yeah, you can actually log on to i500. Is it i500.com?
I-500.
i-500.com. No, hell no. They
February 2nd.
they'll live stream the race. You can sit in the comfort
So
of
I
your
can sit in
home.
front of the fire at my house.
Yes.
With a cold beverage, adult beverage.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep, and you don't have to worry about falling
your
down a
letter.
hill. What's that?
I said, here's your letter.
What letter? Oh,
to Roger. I
To
said,
Roger?
Yo, Roger, we can fix the OT.
All right.
ESPN Blacksburg.
Stick it in an envelope, send it to him. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the
of
Hall of Fame had their vote. We haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. We'll discuss that coming up next. It's The Drive.
ESPN Blacksburg.
Excuse me, what are you saying?
93.1, 810, 97.1.